Hello and welcome to Physics Concept. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of the universe? From the tiniest particles to the vastness of space, physics is all around us, shaping our world in incredible ways. But let's be honest, sometimes it can feel a bit complicated, right? Well, that's exactly why this channel exists. My goal is to break down even the most complex physics topics into simple, clear, and easy to understand concepts. We'll explore everything from classical mechanics to quantum weirdness, one step at a time. No more confusion, just pure understanding and a whole lot of moments. So if you're curious about how the world works and want to build a solid foundation in physics, you're in the right place. Please like this video and subscribe to Physics Concept to start your journey today. Let's make physics fun together. Have you ever wondered why some materials are strongly attracted to magnets, while others seem to ignore them completely? Or why some materials can become permanent magnets, but others can't? The answer lies deep within the atomic structure of these materials in a fascinating concept called the state-domain theory of magnetism. Let's dive in and demystify the magnetic world around us. To start, we need to understand that every atom can behave like a tiny, tiny magnet. This is because electrons orbiting the nucleus and spinning on their own axis create what we call magnetic dipoles. Think of each atom as having a mini north and south pole. Now, how these tiny atomic magnets interact with each other and with an external magnetic field determines the magnetic properties of a substance. This leads us to three main categories: diamagnetic, paramagnetic, and ferromagnetic solids. First up, diamagnetic materials. In these substances, the atoms don't have a net magnetic moment. Their little atomic magnets are essentially non-existent because the magnetic effects of their electrons cancel each other out. So what happens when you bring a magnet near a diamagnetic material, like water, copper, or even a frog? A weak magnetic field is induced, but it actually opposes the external field. This means diamagnetic materials are weakly repelled by magnets. It's a very subtle effect, so you won't see a piece of copper flying away from a magnet, but the repulsion is there. It's like they're politely saying, no, thank you to the magnetic field. Next, we have paramagnetic materials. Unlike diamagnetic ones, the atoms in paramagnetic substances do have a net magnetic moment. Each atom is a tiny magnet. However, under normal conditions, these atomic magnets are all pointing in random directions. They're completely disorganized, so their magnetic effects cancel each other out on a larger scale. The material as a whole doesn't act like a magnet. But when you bring an external magnet close, these atomic magnets start to align themselves with the field. It is like a crowd of people all turning to look in the same direction when something interesting happens. This alignment makes the material weakly attracted to the magnet. Examples of paramagnetic materials include aluminum, platinum, and oxygen. The key word here is weakly. Once you remove the external magnetic field, they go back to their random, disorganized state. The attraction is only temporary. Now for the superstars of the magnetic world: ferromagnetic materials. This is where things get really interesting. Ferromagnetic substances like iron, cobalt, and nickel are the ones we typically think of when we hear the word magnetism. They are strongly attracted to magnets. Why are they so different? Ferromagnetism is actually a special, much stronger case of paramagnetism. Just like paramagnetic materials, their atoms have magnetic moments. But here's the crucial difference. In ferromagnetic materials, there's a powerful quantum mechanical interaction between neighboring atoms that forces their magnetic dipoles to align spontaneously, even without an external magnetic field. It's like these atomic magnets are best friends and insist on pointing in the same direction as their neighbors. This spontaneous alignment doesn't happen across the entire material all at once. Instead, it occurs in small regions called magnetic domains. Within each domain, which can contain billions of atoms, all the magnetic dipoles are perfectly aligned, creating a very strong, localized magnetic field. You can think of a domain as a tiny, powerful magnet. So if a ferromagnetic material is made of all these tiny magnets, why isn't an ordinary piece of iron, like a nail, a magnet on its own? It's because in an unmagnetized piece of iron, these domains are all oriented randomly. Imagine a block made of tiny magnets, but they're all jumbled up, pointing in every possible direction. Their magnetic fields cancel each other out on a macroscopic scale, so the overall material has no net magnetic field. The magic happens when we introduce an external magnetic field. When you bring a magnet near the iron nail, two things occur. First, The domains that are already somewhat aligned with the field will grow in size, taking over neighboring domains that are pointed in other directions. Second, the magnetic orientation of entire domains can rotate to align with the external field. As more and more domains align, their powerful individual magnetic fields add up, and the iron nail becomes strongly magnetized and attracted to the magnet. This is why you can pick up a paperclip with a nail that's touching a magnet. The nail becomes a temporary magnet itself. This leads us to another key concept, the Curie point or Curie temperature. What happens if you heat a magnet? As you increase the temperature, you're giving the atoms more and more thermal energy. They start vibrating and jostling around more violently. This thermal agitation works against the force that keeps the atomic magnets aligned within their domains. If you keep heating a ferromagnetic material, you'll eventually reach a specific temperature called the Curie point. At this temperature, the thermal energy becomes so great that it completely overcomes the alignment forces. The domains break down and the atomic magnets revert to a random, disorganized state, just like in a paramagnetic material. So, above its Curie point, a ferromagnetic material loses its strong magnetic properties and behaves just like a paramagnetic one. For iron, the Curie point is about 770 degrees Celsius. So, if you heat a permanent magnet red hot, it will lose its magnetism for good. It's a one-way trip. Finally, the domain theory helps us understand the difference between soft and hard magnetic substances. This isn't about how physically soft or hard they are, but about how they retain their magnetism. Soft magnetic materials like soft iron are easy to magnetize and also easy to demagnetize. When you place them in a magnetic field, their domains align very easily. But as soon as you remove the field, the domains quickly go back to their random arrangement. This property makes them perfect for applications where you need to switch magnetism on and off quickly, like in the cores of electromagnets and transformers. You want the core to be a strong magnet when the current is on, but to lose its magnetism instantly when the current is off. On the other hand, we have hard magnetic substances, like certain steel alloys and materials like alnico or neodymium magnets. These are difficult to magnetize. You need a very strong external magnetic field to get their domains to align. But once they are aligned, they tend to stay that way even after the external field is removed. The domain walls are pinned in place by impurities or the crystal structure of the material, making it hard for them to return to a random state. This ability to retain magnetism makes them perfect for creating permanent magnets, the kind you stick on your fridge or use in electric motors and speakers. So, to recap, it all comes down to the behavior of tiny atomic magnets. In diamagnetic materials, they don't exist, leading to weak repulsion. In paramagnetic materials, they're present but random, leading to weak temporary attraction. And in ferromagnetic materials, they form powerful, aligned domains that can be manipulated to create both temporary and permanent magnets. From the subtle repulsion of water to the incredible strength of a neodymium magnet, the domain theory gives us a beautiful and unified explanation for the diverse magnetic behaviors we see all around us. I hope this journey into the atomic world of magnetism was as fascinating for you as it is for me. If you learned something new today, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next exploration into the wonders of science. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.